You were born with individual strengths and a unique purpose. Don't let fears, false beliefs, or life's happenings diminish your influence. It's time to live and lead for impact. Host Kirsten Ross, expert of transformation, will help you defeat the drama and overcome the trauma that can stop you in your tracks. You'll gain focus, find confidence, and take bold action. Unleash passionate, purposeful you. Let's go.
Welcome to Live and Lead for Impact. I'm Kirsten Ross, your host, and this is episode number 176. I have an awesome guest today, and I can't wait for you to hear what he's up to and what's motivated him to make his impact in the world. His name is Joseph Fung, and he's a four-time entrepreneur with multiple successful exits, the host of the Seller's Journey podcast, and is currently the CEO of Uvaro. And am I saying that correctly? I should have checked with you while we were chit-chatting.
You nailed it perfectly.
Yay. Well, now, see, I could have just gone about my business and, hidden the fact that I didn't do my homework on that. The fastest growing tech sales bootcamp in North America. You know what? So let me say that again for everyone because I don't want them to miss. So you're CEO of Uvaro, the fastest growing tech sales bootcamp in North America. So you're definitely going to want to check out his bootcamp. They help people in career transition launch their careers in tech, and they'd love some help telling those stories. So thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure. I'm looking forward to this conversation because the impact we're having is so much fun, and I love the fact that we get a chance to share it on chats like this.
Awesome. Yeah. So tell me, what is the work that you're doing? What's the impact you're making now? And then what additional impact are you hoping to make?
So I'm a four-time entrepreneur. It's always been in B2B tech. And one of the most painful things in building a huge tech company is building a successful sales and marketing team. And it's funny because when you talk to people about getting into tech and they say, hey, maybe I want to get to a tech company, everybody assumes you need to learn how to code. And the reality is the biggest opportunity is actually getting into the sales and marketing group. So on the one side, we're helping tech companies grow faster, but on the other side, we're helping individuals launch amazing careers at fast-growing tech companies inside the sales and marketing organization. And it's so much fun.
Awesome. So important too. And I love what you're saying. I think over the course of years, as I've worked with so many businesses or entrepreneurs as they're launching, their focus is immediately on that business. And every time I run into someone who's coming out of the marketing and sales world and into their own business, I'm always like, oh my gosh, you are so lucky because that is a transferable, important skill right there. So I love that you're, and I think people probably drawing to, I'm going to be, what is the word? This is we usually think of tech people, I think, as kind of being pretty geeky and introverts, right? Mm-hmm. And so obviously that's, we need a little more people, time with people. And so I have a friend who's an introvert and she says, it's a little too people-y in here. But you probably need to help people overcome that too.
Oh, it's funny because you're so true. It's so right. I mean, my background's engineering, and I shouldn't be allowed to put any kind of code or software in production. I'm very much a recovering engineer. And the part that's so fascinating is that in the sales and the marketing world, there's this opportunity to have a much broader audience of people from much wider varieties of backgrounds. Have real sexy people who are on their second, third careers, newcomers to the country, people who worked in journalism, in the church, people who worked in oil and gas, just launching amazing careers. So it's really cool to see. On the sales and marketing side, there's just such a great support for such a wide variety of backgrounds and experiences and personalities. It's really interesting.
Awesome. So tell me, because I'm so enticed by this. I love what you're doing for people. So this boot camp that you put people through, like what kinds of things are you teaching them?
So it's a 12-week boot camp. It's pretty intense, 2 hours a day of live workshopping. It's all online. So folks that are in the program are mixed in with folks from Florida, from Seattle, folks who are overseas. It's a real collection. And in the program, you're covering things like the basics of selling. So we touch base on things like prospecting, cold calling, some of the fundamentals, but we spend a lot of time on that lingo, the process that's so tech oriented. Let me give you an example. Software as a service. I mean, there's an acronym, SaaS, SaaS. And it's interesting because one of the first VPs of sales that I spoke to at a tech company, as we were launching Uvaro, I commented about how we have these remarkable students. They're incredible sellers. And one of them came in and said they can't wait to launch an SaaS career.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that VP of sales, he laughed and he's like, wow, if they did that in the interview, they'd be out.
Yeah, that's a tell.
It's an amazing position of privilege where you can say, hey, this person spelled the acronym instead of saying it, and you don't want to interview them. It's kind of silly. And so in our class, we spend time even unboxing those kind of things. Like, hey, yes, we say SaaS, but we say MRR. And it's just helping people navigate that lingo, the tools, the systems. And then we actually put them through mock interviews, career coaching, and network them with hundreds of tech companies to help shortcut that job process. Our average grad lands their new role 17 days after graduation. So it's a pretty heady time in someone's life. Yeah.
Sounds like you're covering all the bases. Now, I have a quick question. So, because disclosure, I'm a human resource professional. And I have been in a position of interviewing tech kinds of people. So kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. And definitely I was never the one to dive into the technical aspects. But because that would be the, I'd let the pros do that part. But I definitely was looking for a passion. I wanted them to be excited about it. How do you assure that people not only, want to launch into this career, because I know there's amazing money opportunities there, but how do you get them passionate about the work and the fun of the hunt and the closing the deals and also the impact they're going to make for their who they're selling for?
Well, you actually hit it right at the end there. So where we find so much success is it's not, and this is true across the board. The best sales reps, they aren't impassioned by picking up the phone to dial again. What they're really passionate about is finding that problem, solving that challenge for the customer and seeing that customer success. And so the big things that we focus on are let's eliminate a lot of the stereotypes. When people think sales, what comes to mind are the stereotypes like Wolf of Wall Street, Glengarry Glen Ross, or maybe it's a cliched used car salesperson.
Right.
And those ideas, they're caricatures and they intimidate people. They say, hey, I don't know if sales is for me. And the part that's so cool about tech right now is that most sales roles are selling subscriptions, which means the company doesn't want you to just bring a customer and drag them over the line. They want you to bring a customer who wants to stay. And so it's actually less about hunting the deal and more about matching the problem to your solution. It's solving real problems. And
building relationships.
Totally. It's a long-term relationship. And that eliminates a lot of the skepticism and uncertainty that candidates have. And then we spend time uncovering people's passions and saying, how do you work in a space that matters for you? Like one example that I mentioned, we have a individual, one of our grads who was 20 years as a pastor, and he spent his time digging into questions, understanding people's challenges, helping them navigate their own situations. And he has found so much delight in doing that in a sales role with a tech company focused in security. He's helping companies deliver a more secure experience. Yeah. And It's really finding that personal passion and linking it to the market you're in and the product you're selling, because tech is everywhere. Maybe it's security, maybe it's somewhere else. But when you find that match, it's so motivating.
Awesome. And as you said, like the whole thing of tech is it's making our lives, our businesses, our work more efficient. So you are problem solving always.
Always.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So tell me, I'm really excited and I love that you're including that passion piece. That's my jam right there. So what experiences motivated you to make this impact and start this business after so much personal success?
So it's interesting because we saw the early signs of the pain point in our most recent software company. We were selling to sales organizations and realizing that it wasn't just our companies, but every tech company was having trouble hiring effective salespeople. The numbers are a little mind-boggling. Over the next 10 years, the tech industry is short 250,000 sales professionals. And
Wow.
they have to come from somewhere. So the numbers pointed us in that direction, but what really made it a real thing was watching my sister's career transition. She was on the West Coast. She was going through a change in her home life, and she was an entrepreneur, an educator. She ran her own martial arts studio, training company, incredibly successful in her own right. And she got to a point where she said, you know what? I need to take a break from being an entrepreneur, and I'd like to apply my sales skills in tech, my opportunities in tech, and seeing the barriers that she had, this incredible, remarkable individual not getting those opportunities, and realizing how easy it was for us to help connect those dots, and seeing her journey and how we could impact it is really what triggered us to say, hey, we could do this for way more people. And now we get hundreds of applications every month, and we get a chance to work with some remarkable people. So that was really the match that lit the fire under us.
Awesome. So I can absolutely hear the passion coming out in your voice, the excitement for what you're doing, the impact that you're making. But, if I made you pick kind of the one main thing that fuels your passion, like what gets you up and jumping out of bed and excited every day?
Hearing the results and hearing the stories of our graduates. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. We've had customers come to us, and so that pastor who I mentioned to you, he's 20 years as a pastor. That's been his only role, and he comes to us 5 weeks in the program to give us some feedback. I mean, when you get those messages, you're like, hey, can I hop on a call? I'd like to give some feedback. You always feel apprehensive. Hey, okay, I'm going to learn something that we can improve. And instead, he comes to us and tells us, I've never felt more human.
Aw, wow.
We have another student who spent years in oil and gas. And when you're in the field, when somebody makes a mistake, people can die. And on 3 different situations, he was in a workplace incident where someone else's mistake threatened his life. And he's thinking, wow, I need to save her job. And he's working with us. He doesn't even graduate yet, lands his new role, selling HR software from the safety of his living room. He comes to us and he's like, you guys saved my life. And those comments, those words, I mean, I love building tech companies and I love building software. It's where I cut my teeth. But hearing those stories and knowing we're having that impact, it's hard to not get up every day because it's just so motivating.
Yeah, let's go make more of that happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me, what's the biggest internal or external challenge that you've had to overcome, and how did you overcome it? This is that like motivational piece and the little tips and tricks for our listeners.
Totally. I think one of the biggest challenges that we had was shifting our company. I mean, we started the company business to business, selling software mostly to tech companies, and making that shift, realizing, hey, we should actually really focus on making these differences. This is where we really need to put all of our energy, helping that the entire machine of the company kind of bring its focus around was definitely one of our biggest challenges, because there's a lot that's involved. There's customers, there's employees, there's just process, and all of that was really big. And then, personally, one of the big things is it's hard to not get overly invested. Mm-hmm. We're working with people at such a vulnerable time in their lives that we need to treat that with a lot of respect, with a lot of honor, and our team is always there to support. And it's sometimes easy to let that consume huge parts of the day. And so making sure we reserve that time for our own well-being, our family, and our friends, I'd say that's probably the biggest personal challenge that not just me, but our whole leadership team has to deal with every day. So it's we're lucky that we have that challenge, but it's definitely a real one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is such a difficult time, especially if a career transition for someone has not been by their choice. Mm-hmm. They're going to be likely in that fear. Although by the time they're investing in your program, they've probably figured some things out and they're, saying, I am taking action to, make something different happen. But yeah, that's such a time of fear and can be so overwhelming for people. Again, especially if they're between jobs now and it wasn't their choice to leave the last situation. But when someone's powerfully chosen it, I'm sure it's not as emotionally taxing potentially.
It's true. And about 70% of our students, when they're enrolling in the program, are currently unemployed. So some people are doing it while they work, but others are in that point of transition. And for many, they've been applying for jobs for many months and they're not getting those interviews. They're not moving forward. They don't know why. And doing that at a point where you've got that potential blow to your own confidence, it's a tough thing. And so it is, it's a point that we need to really respect as well.
Yeah. Now, how often are people, I know you've given the example of the pastor, et cetera, and I know they're coming from kind of all walks of life. What percentage would you say are, those in transition, the 70% that are in transition, about how many of those are in kind of the tech world whatsoever, or are they almost all coming from, is this a huge career transition for them?
For most, it's a pretty big career transition. I don't have hard numbers, but if I think back to the last couple of classes that I've been sitting into, it's less than 10, 15% are already in tech. Maybe they're in a support role or a junior sales role and they're looking to level up. And most often those ones in tech, they've been put in by their company. The company's saying, hey, here's a training program that's going to help you level up, and they're
great.
supporting it. Yeah. For everyone else, they're coming in from retail, hospitality, with people from hotels like Marriott, people coming in from tourism, like maybe they were at Flight Center, and because of the global pandemic, there's just fewer roles. So we have everyone coming in, and sometimes that's they're on the younger end of the spectrum. Sometimes they're on the more experienced end of the spectrum. We have folks who are saying this is going to be my third big career shift, and they're coming in with high standards and expectations, and that's good because that holds us to account. And it's amazing helping people leverage all that experience that they have into the right kind of tech role. And that's a lot of fun.
Well, I love that your program's so comprehensive. I also think about that you're incorporating that networking piece on top of it. For years, I actually facilitated it was high level executives that were in career transition. And it was amazing how many of them had not engaged in any networking. You get to a certain place in your career and they didn't even know how to network and hadn't kind of kept in touch with people and, done the things that us entrepreneurs, it's just second nature. And so I'm glad to hear that you're also including that because, by the time you're in career transition too, and now you're going to try to reach back out, it's a little tougher.
It is. It's so hard. And sometimes it's about working through those baby steps. So good examples. We bring in guest speakers all the time. 2 or 3 times a week, we're bringing in a sales leader, a marketing leader, someone who's hiring sales reps, and we bring them in to share their experience. And we help coach all of our classes. Hey, here's how you ask really good questions. Here's how you be memorable. Here's how you do follow-up. Here's how you reach out on LinkedIn, so that they're building those muscles. Because for some people, it's not even just a motivation. It's, they don't know what items they need to do. They haven't networked in a work from home or a remote work environment. And so we try and provide a lot of opportunity for them to build those muscles early on.
Great. Yeah, I love it. So, what I've already kind of asked you what helps you stay motivated and moving during tough times, but I want, so I know you have that yay, let's get out and make some more, make a bigger impact today. But I know for every entrepreneur, there are those tough times where too many issues are coming at you. And do you have any specific strategy that your go-to strategy to stay motivated?
Yeah, the 2 big things that I think help me, and not everybody has the same opportunities, and I count myself very fortunate for it. I've got a couple of remarkable co-founders. And so one of the things that we each do as a bit of a coaching and a management strategy is to be really honest with what we're experiencing and what we're feeling. So every day in our chat channel, there's a reminder, hey, what are you working on? How are you feeling? And spending that time to talk about our own kind of mental and emotional health between co-founders, where there's a lot of shared experience. In all honesty, we find that to be a huge boon because then we can help each other pick up a bit of that slack when we need to. And then for just me on my own, I'm really fortunate that my partner helps me carve out the space to take care of myself. You talked about introverts and extroverts earlier. I'm a huge introvert. That's where I get my energy from. And in a leadership role, you have to be extroverted. When you're working with people, you have to be. And so I need my own time to recharge. And I do that with music production. And the fact that my partner helps me carve out space from home and family and work to let me do that helps me stay charged. And so those are the 2 things I look to.
Good. That is great advice. You got to have that balance. And, as an entrepreneur, when you're so motivated by the impact that you're making, it can overtake you. But man, it's that whole, like, when you're in the plane, put your oxygen mask on first. It's, you have to take that rejuvenation time so that you can make your bigger, better impact.
It's so hard. I mean, with you care about customers, you care about employees. I've got 2 young kids at home, and so to make sure that I've always got something in the well when I got to dip into it, I have to make sure I carve out that space as well. That's tough as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And being present in the moments that, just in such, intentional use of your time for sure. So what words of wisdom would you have for others who want to make their impact? Maybe they're just getting started and they're feeling that fear. What do you share with them?
Oh, the big thing, and I share this with our students as much as our staff and everything, is to give first. When we talk about, if you're in a sales role or if you're in a coaching role or you're just looking to make the biggest difference you can, giving value first, putting it out into the universe, into your network, it is going to come back in spades in the most unexpected ways. And that's where I'd really push on it. It's not about what's in it for you. It's how much can you provide value, and then it comes back around to you.
Awesome. Speaking of that, do you know about Clubhouse yet?
Everyone's talking about it.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll talk more about that in a minute, but it's an amazing space where you get to share such value and you can also hear so much value. And so I will add that to my listeners. I am having so much fun on Clubhouse, and you and I will talk. You got to get on there. So, well, that is, thank you so much. I never would have guessed that you're an introvert, other than when again, I have that when someone says they're an engineer, of course, bing, are they an introvert? But I cannot tell. I would not have pegged you. The energy and all of that you have, and the passion for the work that you're doing, that I know takes a lot of time with people. I love that you've shared, and I know that you've motivated some people today and gave them some encouragement to make their own impact. So I want to encourage everyone to connect, check out Joseph's podcast, The Seller's Journey, and connect with him at his website, uvaro.com, uvaro.com. The link will also be in the show notes. So go to defeatthedrama.com, click on the podcast tab, and go to episode 176. How about any social media connection?
Oh, totally. Folks can find us on Instagram, LinkedIn. We're usually at Uvaro Life, but YouTube is a great opportunity as well, because you can see what our students and grads are doing, and it's so cool to see where they land.
Awesome. Well, we'll have that link. I'll have Joseph's going to send me that link too, and we'll add that to the show notes as well, so you can easily find him. So, and also, if I can be of service, please reach out. I have a little bit of time on my schedule for some leadership breakthrough sessions, and that is the way I provide value to business owners, family business leaders, etc. So you can grab a spot on my calendar by going to defeatthedrama.com/call. So I would love to connect with you and help you with some breakthroughs. All right, thanks so much for listening, and get out there and make your big impact.